What's up, everybody? Matt Gajewski here, back again with the Stochastic channel. And today we are talking college basketball DFS ahead of the opening round, Thursday slate of March Madness. So happy to be back with you guys. It's been a long time, but love doing these videos for you. We'll talk everything you need to know from a player personnel level. Before we get started, make sure to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know when this and all other content goes live. If you're listening on podcast, please leave a rating and review as well. And we are brought to you by Bet365. As you can see on the banner, and if you're listening, I'll tell you, they have a phenomenal offer for you guys available right now where you're going to bet $1 and get paid $365 in bet credits. It is essentially $365 directly into your account. This is for new users. Deposit is required. But again, this is about as easy as it gets. Go to Bet365, make your deposit, bet $1 and make it easy on yourself. Bet a big favorite. Take Alabama on the money line. Against the spread, they're minus 24.5 against Corpus Christi. Just bet them on the money line. You're guaranteeing yourself $365 or thereabouts. And if you or someone you know has a gambling problem, please call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. The legal age for gambling in most states is 21 plus. Get that extra money before the March Madness roll begins. All right, we're talking DFS today. It's been a long time since I've done one of these videos, but these are truly some of my favorite to do. I'm going to bring you behind the glass to our data usage tool, give you a quick rundown of what it is. So what you're seeing on the screen now, we have this available behind the scenes at Stochastic. Up at the top, you have essentially team matchups. So it's the Vegas lines and then how these offenses match up against the defenses, 2-point percentage, how these teams defend 2 points, 3-point attempts per game, how well they are at shooting 3-pointers, the 3-point defense on the other end, rebounding rates, free throw rates. In the top right corner, where you see G1, G2, G3, that is just the margin of victory in the last 3 games. So when we go down and we look at the stats, you can tell whether it was a blowout, a close game, what kind of game environment did they play in. And then from left to right, from the player perspectives, you have each of these teams listed, their salary on DraftKings, FanDuel, the minutes they played in the last 3 games, and then shot rate, rebound rate, assist rate, and overall usage. That's on the season. In the middle column, you have those for the last 3 games. And on the far right, you have fouls committed within the last 3 games to, again, give you an idea. If a player saw limited minutes one game, well, was it because of foul trouble? You can reference all of that here. And of course, this is available over at Stochastic, and we have a great offer for you there as well. I'm just going to tell you about it right now. You can get all of March Madness, the entire week, the entire tournament, not just this weekend, not just the first day, the entire March Madness tournament. It's something like 45 slates for $40. It's $39.95 to be exact, under $40 for the entire thing. Gives you access to this document, projections, Discord. We have slate write-ups every single day, as well as videos on this channel. We'll have the whole tournament broken down for you in depth. So make sure to check that out. The link is in the video description below. Again, $39.95 for the entire tournament. I cannot believe it is as cheap as it is. But let's dive into this. We have a full 16 games to get to, and we're going to kick things off with, this is actually the play-in game. So let me pull you over to the actual start of the tournament. West Virginia taking on Maryland. Sorry about that. I didn't realize till right now I was on the play-in game. But the first game is West Virginia taking on Maryland. This is a middling game environment for DFS. The total is 137. The spread is tight. West Virginia is a 2-point favorite here. We'll start on their side. They play a little bit above average in terms of pace. They're balanced on offense and defense, slightly above average on offense, 55th there. They have a usage monster in Eric Stevenson. If you look at his minutes, they're basically going to be max minutes when they're not in blowouts. That 25 minutes you're seeing in the most recent game, it was a 17-point loss in the conference tournament, so not too much to see there. You know what you're getting with Stevenson? He's going to chuck, and he facilitates a lot of the offense, so you're getting a good assist rate with him too. This isn't the best game environment, so I'm probably trying to limit to 1 or 2 players max. And on the West Virginia side, I think he's a little bit expensive at $8,500. Trey Mitchell comes in pretty cheap here. Prior to the blowout, he played 40 and 39 minutes, and Trey Mitchell clearly offers the best double-double equity on this team. The best part of Maryland's defense, I think, is inside. And overall, they play strong defense altogether. So it's no easy matchup for Trey Mitchell inside, but I think he's a bit contrarian, and 6,700 is a good price on him. Kedrian Johnson and Emmett Matthews are a step below Mitchell and Stevenson, in my opinion. You're just looking at the third and fourth most used players in this team. I'd rather play Kedrian. He has a 21% shot rate last 3 games, involved across the board peripherally. So I think he's somewhat in play too. Matthews is more of a wind sprinter. He doesn't do as much on the court. So I think that's probably where I'm stopping. And I don't have a lot of interest in the value. For the Maryland side, this team is kind of underpriced across the board. Jahmir Young is one of just the absolute usage monsters on the slate. He's just in the kind of a bad game environment. 21.5% usage rate. That's a 27% shot rate, nearly 19% rebound rate, and nearly 17% assist rate. Almost the entire offense is flowing through him. With that said, Dante Scott is really cheap on DraftKings. 6,200 for him. He's cheaper than both Hakeem Hart and Julian Reese, and the Julian Reese pricing just doesn't make any sense. He is way too expensive. But Dante Scott, 19% shot rate, 21% rebound rate, 25% assist rate at 6,200. I haven't run lineups yet through Fantasy Cruncher just because they don't release the slate over there until it's the day of. They do the play-in games first. But I imagine Dante Scott's going to be in a lot of optimals at this price tag. It's just way too cheap. And that's nothing against Hakeem Hart and Julian Reese. These are players I think that are fine, but Dante Scott being at his price tag is just absurdly cheap. Lastly, you have potential value option Don Carey at 4,200 here, 31, 31, and 30 minutes. He's basically a wind sprinter, but in the last 3 games, his usage has surprised me. About a 17% shot rate and 17% assist rate. I'm not really buying that that's sticky, but 4,200, you can't really go too wrong with him down there. Second game, we'll go to Furman taking on UVA, Virginia. 5.5-point spread in favor of Virginia. 132 total. A bit higher than I expected. But Furman plays really good on offense. They're 4th in the country in offensive efficiency. And they're actually pretty bad on defense. 177th there too. So an imbalanced team. But anytime you see Virginia pop on a slate, the opponent needs to be considered carefully here. Virginia plays so slow that it often just depresses the overall ceiling of the opposing team. And we see that in implied team total. Furman at 63 points. Virginia not much better at 68.75. Furman has 2 usage monsters in Mike Bothwell and Jalen Slauson. And Slauson has more peripheral upside just because of the rebounding, 20% rebound rate on the year. With that said, the possessions are reduced so far in this game that Slauson at 7,700 doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I'd rather play Jahmir Young. I'd rather go down and play Dante Scott in the previous game. Just don't see a ton of upside against Virginia. And that's with a Virginia team that's a little weaker on the interior considering they lost Ben Vanderplas. But hard to get to these players. JP Peegs, 5.4K is somewhat interesting because he's been taking a ton of shots recently, 27.5% shot rate. Nearly 16% rebound rate, and a 32% assist rate for Pegs. I think if you play one, maybe it's him. But again, I'm probably going to be off Furman entirely just because, Virginia games. On a 16-game slate, do you really want to target the Virginia game? On the other side, again, Furman not good on defense, so Virginia is somewhat interesting here. They also lost Ben Vanderplas, so their minutes have been condensed somewhat. They kind of have just replaced him by committee using Caden Shedrick, Ryan Dunn, and Francisco Carafo. But there are some players at the top that need to be mentioned. Reese Beekman plays almost every single minute. He's largely assist dependent, 32% assist rate on the year. It's 42% last 3. He's done a little more shooting recently, but as is the case with most Virginia players, you're talking about like good floor, low ceiling guys just because their offense limits possession so much. Like for Beekman, he'd probably have to have a 4 or 5 steal game to really hit a ceiling if you're going to try to win a tournament. Now, Kihei Clark is a bit different. His price is lower. So at 5,800, you could see him paying it off a little bit easier. But he's kind of taken a backseat to Beekman recently, especially in the assist rate. Like on the year, Kihei has the edge there. But in the last 3 games, Beekman's nearly doubled him up. So Kihei sort of taking a backseat. He's also a dwarf out there. It's not like he generally pops up for these immense shooting games. The one player with maybe some untapped upside is Gardner. With Ben Vanderplas out, his minutes are probably a little more consistent. He has the most double-double equity on this team, 22% shot rate, nearly 28% rebound rate last three. With Vanderplas off the floor, there's just fewer bodies to really compete with him for boards. So it's probably a Gardner or pass in this game, maybe a Slauson or Pegs, but probably looking away from this weird game. Now we immediately pivot to one of the best games on this slate, Utah State taking on Missouri. This is a banger. 1.5 point spread in favor of Utah State. Total 155, way up there. I believe it's tied for the highest on the board. On the Utah State side, this team has a mismatch. They're much taller than Missouri. They can win in the interior. The question is, do we look to a player like Taylor Funk? I'm going to skip Ashworth for a second and just try to exploit the mismatch. The best player to exploit the interior of Missouri is Funk. Now, he has a severe fouling problem. You can see in the last 3 minutes, 39, 22, 37. I'll let you guess which game he fouled in, but that's the tale of his season. He's either playing 20 minutes or he's playing 38. So he is immense upside here in this matchup if he doesn't foul. 20% shot rate, 20% rebound rate, 16% assist rate last three. On the year, those numbers are solid too. The more consistent player and safer player is Stephen Ashworth. He's a little bit more expensive, a little more shot and assist driven here, less double-double equity for Ashworth, but he plays every single minute, leads the team in usage. I think he's completely fine in a game like this. Sean Bairstow and Max Shulga round out the 3-guard rotation. They're both cheap enough to play really across the board. Game stacks, one-offs. Like if they're a last man in sort of play, no issues with that. Bairstow in particular has been really involved lately. 17% shot rate, 17% assist rate, 23.5%. Excuse me, 20. Let me redo that. 17% shot rate, 17% rebound rate, 23.5% assist rate for Bairstow. 5,500 is a good price on him. From there, not really looking at Dan Aiken or any of the ancillary players. That kind of rounds it out for me, but I'll be probably overweight to some Utah State players. With that said, Missouri's a team we also want to look at as a slight underdog in an awesome game. For the advantages Utah State has inside, Missouri certainly has them from three. They are 25th in the country in three-point attempts, three-point percentage, 75th. Three-point defense for Utah State, 266. They're awful. You can definitely see ways for this team to exploit that. The two main guys I'm looking at are guards Demoy Hodge and DeAndre Golston. Hodge has actually been super involved recently. 21% shot rate, 20% rebound rate, 12% assist rate. He's 8,300. And because of some of the injuries Missouri's had, I think we might be better off going to the value guys. That means Noah Carter, Nick Honor, and mainly DeAndre Golston, who's played 34, 27, and 32 minutes last 3 games. 22% shot rate, 17% assist rate for Golston. He's 4,900. Imagine he'll be popular as a value play, but no slight to Nick Honor down here. 12.5% shot rate, nearly 30% assist rate last 3, 31, 28, and 28 minutes. I think he's a pivot off Golston. Noah Carter kind of smashed right in the middle there. And let's not forget Kobe Brown. Among players that have double-double equity, he leads this team. He is going to be working into the teeth of this Utah State defense, but he has a 31% rebound rate last 3 games, and he's really their only interior presence. There's no way he can come off the floor in this game. So Kobe Brown, interesting GPP play, but probably want a piece of this game to some degree. And if you're playing multiple lineups, it's one you want to look at closely. 4th game, we have Howard taking on Kansas, and this is a good time to talk about blowouts overall. So Kansas is a 21-point favorite. The total is 145.5. We're going to be talking about the Bama game later, which is also going to abide by this. How I look at Kansas players, Bama players in blowouts, 1 seeds versus 16 seeds. You have a good floor. The matchup is easy. It's a cupcake. Players like Jalen Wilson and Grady Dick probably are going to reach 30 points. But what is the likelihood they hit 50 or hit that ceiling winning GPP score in limited minutes? Again, this is going to be limited minutes. There's a good chance when you play these guys, they run out to like 25, 30 points in the first half, and then you get 5 or 10 in the second half. And you're like, I thought I was on pace to win this tournament. But Jalen Wilson's only played 4 minutes in the second half against Howard. What happened? That's what can happen in blowouts. So if you're targeting Kansas players, if you're targeting Bama players, what you need is their opponent to push them. The game needs to be closer than you expect, closer than the 21-point spread. So if I'm building cash games, it's probably not going to involve Kansas. If I'm building tournaments, it's probably just taking a one-off, like a Grady Dick, hoping he hits his ceiling in 25 minutes, or Howard pushes them more than you expect. In this particular game, there's even more risk with Kansas because Kevin McCullough has been injured. He didn't play in their last game, dealing with back spasm, 12 minutes in the game prior. Who knows how much the 5 days or whatever it's been has helped him. We don't know the status of McCullough. He flat out might just sit in this game. If that is the case, I would have a lot of interest in Joseph Yusufu, who basically is going to play 25 to 30 minutes and maybe even more, considering how much do we see of Grady Dick? How much do we see of DeJuan Harris, KJ Adams? That's where I would maybe look at this game as Yusufu. But outside of that, maybe a random one-off Jalen Wilson here. But these are guys I'll probably be underweight to the field on. Not to gloss over Howard. They have a really low team total. They also run an 11-man rotation, 10-man recently. And no one really touches 30 minutes ever except Elijah Hawkins. So that is pretty brutal here, 6.5K. I'll just take gambles on other really cheap teams. Howard is a complete X-out spot for me. College of Charleston taking on San Diego State. 141 total, a bit higher than I expected. And overall, San Diego State is a 5-point favorite. Starting with Charleston, team is really good on offense. They take a ton of threes. They're not very good at them. They just play at a fast pace. They're first in three-point attempts per game, but 211th in three-point percentage. Get a grip, Charleston. Diversify your offense. But looking at the players overall, coming in reasonably priced here, Ryan Larson, 6.7K on DraftKings, really shot dependent recently, but he does have a decent assist rate here too, 17% usage. Dalton Bolton, wish he just would play more minutes, man. 20.5% usage rate, but he hasn't played more than 23 minutes in 3 straight games. No foul trouble, 2 competitive games mixed in there. Hard to really determine why minutes are so low, but they are. Renee Smith at 4,400, 2 games of 31 minutes apiece. Think that's fine. Ante Berzovic is the player that I think we could really look at here. 20.5% shot rate, 22% rebound rate, 17% assist rate, 7.4K is a bit expensive, but that's a pretty good role for him. And last one is Jalen Scott. So 28, 32, and 26 minutes. The problem is he's just a wind sprinter. So as you can see, there's kind of a hole you can poke in every Charleston player to some degree, with the exception of Larson. I think he's the most secure. But at the end of the day, you're still talking about a pretty slow-paced team in San Diego State. San Diego State is 27th in defensive efficiency overall. And you have a rotation for Charleston, which is 9 players deep. So it's still kind of difficult to target a Charleston player, even though they're sort of intriguing on this weird game environment overall. Again, I think the total is going to come down a little bit. San Diego State might just be a pure X-out spot. Excuse me. The laughter made me cough, but I've been sick for like a week now. All right, got that one on mute, so hopefully it's out of the way. We'll see. All right. Sorry about that, guys. Really going through it. But San Diego State, this team plays not only a 10-man rotation, but it's a 10-man rotation without a leader. So as you can see, you don't really have anybody touching 30 minutes in here. Like Lamont Butler hit 30 minutes one time in the last 3 games. That's the only 30-point outing for any player on this team. And looking up at their margin of victory, 5, 15, 3, these were blowouts. Was there any foul trouble? I mean, you had Lamont Butler and Darian Trammell, 4 fouls a couple of times. There's not really foul trouble for this team. They just run this disgusting rotation. They're also terrible on offense. I don't know what to make of this team. Ultimately, I am probably going to fade the entire team. Like maybe you could get a contrarian Matt Bradley. He has good usage, but he doesn't have any minutes. Really tough to see myself playing much from this game, even though the total is decent. It's just wide rotations on either side. I think you can really find better options. Going to our next game, it's Princeton, Arizona. Now, this game is sort of borderline. You've got an amazing total, 154.5, but the spread is 14.5 in favor of Arizona. That's blowout territory, but it's not 21-point Kansas, 24.5-point Alabama. there's a better chance this one stays competitive. So I think if you're taking some shots on some studs, this game makes a little more sense. You also have a massive size advantage with Arizona. But Princeton, they play with Tosan Evbumwan. Hope I said that right, Tosan. My apologies to you. The one thing we can say about Princeton and Tosan in particular is they play maximum minutes, whether the game's competitive or not. And with Tosan, you have awesome usage, 22% shot rate, 38% assist rate, 16% rebound rate last three. Only problem is he's going to be battling with Tubelis and Ballo. That's going to be tough. Mataloko, 6,200, I think is fine for him. He's played at least 38 minutes in 3 straight games. And what I think is nice about him and Caden Pierce is they're a little cheaper than Tosan, who's 8,800. Like, you're essentially competing with the absolute ceiling players on this slate when you play Tosan. Whereas if you play a Loco, usage clearly is going to be a little bit worse, but the price lets you get some other studs as well here. So that's at least interesting to me. 14.5% shot rate, 16.5% rebound rate, 11% assist rate. Ryan Landborg, somewhat useful here as well. 17% shot rate, 21.5% assist rate. I think they did a great job pricing Princeton. They're right to the point where, the game environment's good. Like, I'm considering playing these guys, but I think there is opportunity cost, if that makes sense. Like, you are sacrificing if you play them, but ultimately these aren't the worst players for a team, that's double-digit underdogs. Arizona, they play through the Twin Towers. Uzelis Tubelis, Omar Ballo. Tubelis has been unbelievable. 24% shot rate, 30% rebound rate last 30 games. He's a player I want to get to, especially because Princeton is projected to keep this game closer than some of the other potential blowouts on the slate. Ballo's minutes are volatile, but he has similar rates to Tubelis. 19% shot rate, 23.5% rebound rate last 3 games. Just know you could get 24 minutes, you could get 35 out of Ballo. There's really no telling with him. The guards have been a little bit more of a rotation, especially with Kirk Christi banged up. He injured his shoulder, but he's been playing still upper 20s, low 30s in minutes. And I think probably looking at low 30s here in competitive games. He'll be their main ball handler. Largely driven through assists, so the upside is questionable with Christi. Courtney Ramey will shoot a little bit more, but he largely functions similar to Christi. Pele Larson, pretty shot dependent, does have some assists. Cedric Henderson got in foul trouble recently, but mid-20s in minutes. Arizona's expanded their rotation, especially in their backcourt, which kind of makes the guards difficult to get to. It makes me want to focus on Tubelis and Ballo. Kylan Boswell is available as a potential value play. You should expect 15 to 20 minutes from him. Next game, the 8-9 matchup is Illinois taking on Arkansas. This game has a 2.5-point spread in favor of the Razorbacks, a 144 total, which is good. Good pace in this game. You have Illinois above average in pace. Arkansas is even faster than them. The only real hole you can poke in the game environment is both teams play good defense. They're 32 and 33 in defensive efficiency. Both teams outside the top 100 on offense. But I think we want to take some shots here. The stud for Illinois is Terry Shannon, plays every single minute, involved across the board, good assist rate and shot rate from him. Matt Mayer is priced way up now, so there was a stretch of time where Shannon missed, and then Mayer kind of became their alpha. I think this is a bit much to pay for him, considering Shannon is back, but he still does have a 24% shot rate and 20.5% rebound rate last 3 games. That'll play. Coleman Hawkins is always a GPP option off these guys. He's expensive at 7,200, especially on DraftKings, and he's not quite used as much. He plays every single minute, but he's consistent across the board, like a 15% shot rate, 15% rebound rate, 32% assist rate. He has double-double equity, but he doesn't achieve it as much as some other players. But Hawkins, I think, should always be in play for tournaments. And then the rest of the lineup is difficult. RJ Melendez has played quite a bit recently, but Jaden Epps just returned from his condition. Only 3 minutes in the last game, but he was the starting point guard for this team before the injury, and that moved Terrence Shannon over to shooting guard. Without Epps, Terry Shannon's been playing that point position, and I think this could hurt Melendez. And it's not like this team has depth issues like Luke Goody, Sincere Harris, Ty Rogers. They'll all get minutes here and there. So it's kind of tough for me to click Melendez, but I do admit he should be somewhat considered here against Arkansas. Arkansas plays with a ton of length on defense, so this is by no means an easy matchup. For the Razorbacks, they essentially use 6 guys. You have Nick Smith back from injury. He's 7,300 now, but 31.5% shot rate, 30% assist rate for Nick Smith. Holy smokes. One of the best plays on the slate, I think. Then you have the other guards. Devo Davis is playing max minutes. You have Anthony Black and Rick Council. Generally speaking, every single game, one of these 4 guards suffers to some degree, and there's no rhyme or reason to it. In the last game, it was Rick Council, 19 minutes. He did have 3 fouls. The game prior to that, it was Nick Smith, 27 minutes. The game before that, it was kind of Devo Davis, 20 minutes for him. So I don't know. You're kind of rolling the dice with these Arkansas guards. I think the safest one is Nick Smith. He's their best scorer, but I don't really feel super confident in any of them. With that said, you're not paying a premium. Like Devo Davis at 5,600, he should be played. He's played 37 and 40 minutes in back-to-back games. Black is a bit expensive, but Council, coming off the bad game, 19 minutes. He played 33 and 34 in the 2 games prior. It's somewhat interesting. In the front court, you have the Mitchell twins, Mackay and Mikkel. This is a disaster. I mean, people might click on Mackay. He played 30 minutes in the last game, but I'm old enough to remember games where Mackay played 30 and the next game he played 6. Essentially, they split minutes between these guys. These guys both foul a ton. Neither are particularly involved. I'd rather just play Devo Davis. Jordan Walsh, kind of the same thing. Expect around 20 minutes for him. Auburn taking on Iowa. Another 8-9 game here. 1-point spread in favor of Auburn. Total is 152. Sick game environment overall. Iowa plays horrible defense. Auburn plays horrible offense. Who wins out? For Auburn, we definitely need to consider essentially their starting 5 against this Iowa team who's pathetic on defense. Janai Broom, 8,600. Biggest concern with him is minutes. He never plays more than like 32. You have no ceiling minute-wise, but his rates are sick. So he is somewhat considered, I think, here. But I'd rather go to Wendell Green, 18% shot rate, 29% assist rate on the year. I think he's fine. Jalen Williams is a little more consistent minute-wise even than Janai Broom. 30, 31, 27. Not quite as involved as Janai Broom, but 20% assist rate, 16% shot rate, 14% rebound rate, I think is fine. Alan Flanagan is very consistent, just kind of a win sprinter. He actually has a 19% shot rate last 3 games. I wouldn't expect that to continue. And KD Johnson, 5K flat, 29 minutes, 16 minutes, 36. If you play him, you just hope you're not running into a 16-minute game from him. Largely that would coincide with turnovers or fouls. These Auburn players are going to project well. I think you want to consider at least one in your lineup, but I don't think they're absolutely necessary. There's always holes you can poke in them. Minutes, pretty consistent. Usage is not, and they're all terrible shooting. So, I mean, any one of them could pop off for a big game at any given time. For Iowa, they're the exact opposite. They do run consistent minutes, and essentially all of their usage flows through Chris Murray. Will play every minute when needed, as long as he doesn't foul. 29.9% shot rate, 16.5% rebound rate, 25% assist rate last 3 games. Chris Murray's the guy we should be prioritizing. And, when compared with Jalen Wilson, Brandon Miller, even to Bellis, 9,400 for Chris Murray in a competitive game, a 1-point spread, is far more enticing to me than trying to get one of those guys in a blowout. Philip Rebraca, massive rebound rate, nearly 22%. 18.5% shot rate last 3. He's your discount Chris Murray. I have no problem if you're playing other lineup constructions at the expense of Murray going down to Rebraca. Rebraca's had plenty of double-doubles this year. And they've somewhat consolidated minutes here. Tony Perkins, he'll play around 30, upwards of like 36. He's awesome across the board, 16% shot rate, 19.5% rebound rate, 27% assist rate. Connor McCaffrey, he's a coward. 4% shot rate last 3 games. The only thing working for him is minutes. Wish they would just bench him for like Peyton Sanford or something, but they won't because he's the coach's kid. Sanford doesn't play enough minutes. He's super efficient on offense, but they'll just give minutes to Patrick and Connor McCaffrey. That about sums up Iowa. Looking at Chris, Rebraca, and Perkins. Up next, we have Oral Roberts taking on Duke. 146 game environment. This is an awesome game. The total's good. The spread 6.5 is competitive. Oral Roberts is an awesome team. They're sick on offense, third in the country. Awesome inside. Vanover's 7.5 or 7.4. 3-point shooting percentage. They're 35th in the country. They shoot a ton of them. Max Asmus is unbelievable. He's 9,900, which is crazy, but his usage is absurd. 23.5%. He's in play even at this price tag. I think I'm going to go to other studs like Chris Murray, but you can absolutely play him. Connor Vanover is going to have to bang inside with all those Duke bigs, but his rebound rate is there. Minutes are there. He'll play upwards of 30 minutes as long as he doesn't foul. That is a big risk against the Duke front court. So be careful with Vanover, but I mean, he used to play for Arkansas. This is a high-profile kid who transferred down. He's like a baby giraffe on skates, but he's tall, so sometimes the ball bounces directly into his hands. Kareem Thompson, Carlos Jurgens, those are the other two players I would look at here. Thompson, as long as he doesn't foul, he's going to play 35 minutes. Just doesn't have the same kind of usage as the other players. Same with Jurgens. I mean, Max Asmus and Vanover handle so much of the usage that it's hard to target Thompson, Jurgens, or even McBride. McBride will play 30 minutes plus here too. I think if I'm playing an extra guy here, it's probably McBride based on the shot rate and the assist rate, but don't love it. Duke, good spread here for them. They have a great team total. Filipkowski's 9K flat. I'd rather play him than Asmus. You also have, like with Asmus, he has to shoot lights out from three, which you can. You get a bonus for 3-pointers. But Filipkowski has such an easy path to a double-double, which gives you a bonus as well. And these bigs have block upside, which is worth a ton. So generally, I like playing expensive forwards. He's going to play every minute here. He's going to have to battle against Vanover. 23% shot rate, 23% rebound rate, 13% assist rate last three. Filipkowski's awesome. You also have Jeremy Roach, Tyrese Proctor. I'd rather play Roach, just more involved across the board. Proctor's assist dependent. Roach will shoot a little more, but no qualms either way. You're looking at 30 to 35 minutes. Mark Mitchell's played around 30 minutes now consistently too. 13% shot rate last three, nearly 18% rebound rate. That's great for Mark Mitchell. Then we have Derek Lively, who's starting and playing upper 20 minutes. His usage isn't great. With that said, his rebounds are strong and his block upside is immense. We're talking about a 7-footer here. Lively should be contrarian and in play as well. A lot of interest in Duke to sum that up. Colgate taking on Texas, 13.5-point spread, 147 total. Similar to Arizona, this is a place where I'll take some shots on the studs for Texas because the spread is tighter than the Bamas of the world. For Colgate, this team is awesome offensively, 6th in efficiency, good on the inside. They're number 1 in the country in 3-point percentage. So looking at the team overall, they play a fairly tight rotation. Keegan Records, Braden Smith, Ryan Moffat, Tucker Richardson, Oliver Lynch-Daniels. These guys are all consistently playing above 30 minutes. The best player, in my opinion, is Tucker Richardson. Now, you got to pay for him at $8,200. And for him, he has a 20% shot rate, 15% rebound rate, which is up to 27% last 3 games. And then an absurd 31% assist rate, which is also up to 46.5% last 3. Richardson's super, super involved. And Ryan Moffat is pretty involved as well. I think he is the next best for double-double equity, 14% shot rate, 22% rebound rate last 3. But Records and Smith also in play. I think I'd rather just go down from them. And then the last guy of the bunch, Oliver Lynch-Daniels, completely shot dependent, but he's 4,900. So if you need an option, I think that's fine. But Tucker Richardson, I think, is the best option here. Excuse me, I got a cough again. Thanks for bearing with me. All right. Texas. Good implied team total here. I think we want a Longhorn. Marcus Carr's playing max minutes, over 20% usage rate, over 20% shot rate, over 25% assist rate, can bury you in any given slate. From there, the real question is, Timmy Allen's expected to play. How many minutes? Who does that cannibalize? Because we've now seen a lot of the other players come up in price. So, for example, Serge Jabari Rice was 5K. Now he's 6.9K. He's played at least 34 minutes in 3 straight. Dylan Dessou, he would have probably played 27 minutes if he could keep his hands to himself, but he just fouls insistently. Regardless, he's 6,800. Timmy Allen's going to cannibalize him. Brock Cunningham, Christian Bishop, these guys should all be around 4K instead of 4.5. So the other players on Texas are kind of hard to choose. The only player who's still cheap is Tyrese Hunter. He's been awful this year. Not really consistent usage-wise, doesn't have one single shot category or rebound category that elevates him. I think maybe I would just take a shot on Timmy Allen, who was playing 30 minutes prior to the injury. The question is, Colgate needs to keep it close enough to see Timmy Allen play those minutes, but Timmy Allen is the second most useful player on offense for this team, assuming he's healthy. So it's kind of Marcus Carr, Timmy Allen, maybe a contrarian Jabari Rice, but no interest in Dessou or Cunningham or any of these guys. But what I'm telling you is I'll probably end up playing a good amount of Marcus Carr at 7,600. It's a good price. Boise State, Northwestern, 2-point spread, 128 total. Probably not playing anyone from this game with the total being as low as it is. Two good defenses, two bad offenses. The one redeeming quality for Boise is they play max minutes, maximum minutes. The leader here is going to be Marcus Shaver. So involved across the board. 20% shot rate, 26% rebound rate, 36% assist rate last 3 games. Holy smokes, he's involved. But you could play any of these guys. Agbo is really cheap. He should not be 4,800. I think he's live as a value play. 18, nearly 19% shot rate, good rebounder. Najee Smith has some double-double equity. Max Rice plays every minute. He's a good 3-point shooter. Tyson DeGenhart has a 19.5% shot rate and a 20% rebound rate. There's some double-double equity there. These guys will be contrarian. I think Shaver and Agbo make the most sense. For Northwestern, they've actually condensed their rotation too. Again, I don't want a lot of this game, so I probably play one, if even that. Boo Buie and Chase Audige are the two usage monsters. I think Audige is a little underpriced, Buie a little overpriced. From there, Brooks Barnheiser's 6.1K. He's played at least 33 minutes in 3 straight. Really sick double-double equity with him. 20% shot rate. Nearly 26% rebound rate last 3. Ty Berry also playing a ton here. More shot dependent, but certainly in play. Robbie Barron could be useful as well at 4,700, but he's more of a wind sprinter. All right, how many games do we have left here? 5. I'm not going to make it through without coughing again. God, 30-minute videos are rough. Solo when you're sick. All right, this one will be quick. Northern Kentucky, Houston. 19.5 point spread. And this one is one of those blowouts. Total's 123. I think you're probably just Xing the game to keep it simple. To briefly touch on the two teams, well, Northern Kentucky's going into the teeth of the best defense in the country. Marcus Wark is their best player. Chris Brandon, Sam Vincent, and Xavier Rhodes are the guys you look at normally, but I don't think you're looking at any of them here. And the top two, in my opinion, are Wark and Vincent. For Houston, Sasser's injured. It's kind of the Kevin McCullough, Timmy Allen situation where I think he plays, but I think you're looking at like a 25-minute ceiling. They're going to expand this rotation. Jawan Roberts, Jamal Shed, Jarris Walker, Tremont Mark typically play 35 minutes without fouls in competitive games, which this is not. You could maybe use a Terrence Arcino as a sort of Joseph Yusufu of Houston. He'll play more minutes in the blowout. He played a ton without Sasser in the last game, 35. I expect around 20 for him. 3.4K is completely fine. Louisiana Lafayette, Tennessee. 10.5 point spread, 136 total. Lafayette, pretty good across the board. Sneaky team here. And pretty good on offense. Problem is they're facing an elite Tennessee defense even without Zakai. But they have a usage monster in Jordan Brown. 20% usage for him. 25.5% shot rate. 35.5% rebound rate. 16% assist rate on Brown. Still probably not going to be a guy I play because of matchup. And they're implied for 62.75 points, but Jordan Brown, a name to know. From there, it's probably Themis Fulks, 36 and 32 minutes last 2. Good shooter. Active assist rate too, 40% in the year. 5,700 is a better price, but still not something I like. And then like people might be enticed to play Jalen Dalcourt off the bench. You're just looking at such volatility in minutes, man. Like 31 to 9 to 25. And I probably not playing these ancillary Louisiana guys. Tennessee, no Zakai Zeigler. That means Santiago Vescovi is going to lead this team in most categories, 20% assist rate. He's not going to lead in rebounds, but still has 15% rebound rate last 3, and then a 22% shot rate. Olivier Camois is very interesting at 6K, priced up now. He has consistent usage across the board, some double-double equity. I still think fouls are a risk for him. You'll see random games where Julian Phillips plays a lot, Jonas Adu. I don't love Kamwa. Josiah Jordan-James, also a guy who plays typically the 3. He's a 20% shot rate last 3, and he hasn't really played a lot. 22, 31, and 26 minutes. I'd expect Josiah Jordan-James to be above 30 here. Like him for tournaments especially. And then Jemai Meshack. I mean, this guy, when he doesn't foul, has been awesome. So his last 3 games are really kind of weird. He played the 31 minutes in an awesome game. The game prior to that, 19 minutes, he was a complete doofus. A lot of turnovers. Only 1 foul, but got benched essentially. In the game before that, he fouled out in 13 minutes. So obviously you're dealing with risk. He's a young player, still kind of getting his skis underneath him. But when he doesn't foul, when he doesn't play like a moron, he's going to play 31 minutes, and he has a lot of upside. I imagine he's going to pop in projections at 4,100 as a premier value play. From there, you got like Tyreek Key. He's similar from the guard position, a little more shot dependent, whereas Meshack can kind of get it done across the board. So I think I'd rather play Meshack, but Key needs to be mentioned as well. Penn State A&M, 3-point spread, 134.5 total, which isn't great. You guys are going to be treated to the beautiful Penn State offense, which features Jalen Pickett dribbling down the court, turning his back to the basket, sticking his ass into the defender, and then walking backwards towards the basket, either passing for someone shooting a 3 or trying to jump and take a difficult shot himself, which often works, but that's the Penn State offense. Poor game environment, tough defense on the other side. I don't think it succeeds here. So do you really want to pay 10.1K for Jalen Pickett? I mean, his rates would suggest potentially 26% shot rate, 22% rebound rate, 32% assist rate. Jalen Pickett is absolutely amazing. He's the whole offense. Just a poor game environment here. I'd rather play like Chris Murray or something than a better game environment, but absolutely no qualms with Pickett. Really good GPP play. Penn State's tight in their rotation, so you're getting Seth Lundy, Andrew Funk, and Cameron Winter playing max minutes. Andrew Funk is really cheap. 16% shot rate, 14.5% assist rate, rebound rate for Funk. Outside double-double equity, but probably not. Still, for a guy that's going to play 36 minutes, 4,900 is kind of ridiculous. Lundy's a little more expensive. You know, like 19% shot rate, 20% rebound rate are great for Lundy, but I'm still probably trying to find my way to pick it. And then Cameron Winter, 30 minutes quietly for him, consistent across the board, led by that 26% assist rate. Not great, but, I mean, 4,600, he's in play for value. On Texas A&M, you've got Wade Taylor, Tyrese Radford, and Dexter Dennis as your 3 guards. Wade Taylor's awesome, one of the best foul generators in the country, 24% shot rate, nearly 30% assist rate last 3. He's like Pickett, where I think he's always in play for tournaments. Tyrese Radford's one of the best rebounding guards in the country, 20% shot rate, 20% rebound rate, 20% assist rate, 15% rebound rate, active in every category. I think he's live too. Dennis has somewhat taken a minute seat. I don't know what to say. He's been injured. So I think with, 5 days off, there's a chance he comes back and plays 30 plus minutes. He's like Radford. He's a good rebounder, shooter, assister, involved everywhere. The front court here is kind of poor for this Texas A&M team. Henry Coleman and Julius Marble don't play a consistent role. Coleman, I think, is a little better. 24% rebound rate last 3, but still difficult to get to that front court. If I'm playing an A&M player, it's probably a guard. All right, 2 games left. I think I can do it. North Carolina, Asheville, taking on UCLA, 17.5-point spread. Asheville has a stud in Drew Pember, Tennessee transfer. He's playing every single minute. He has a 30% shot rate, 30% rebound rate, 17% assist rate, but he's 8K. They have a 58.5 total. It's among the lowest on the board. Probably enough for me not to play Pember. From there, you have Tyjon Jones, 7,200, 22% shot rate, 19% rebound rate. He's in play. You have a tight rotation like Fletcher Abee, Nick McMullen, Caleb Burgess. These guys all play a consistent role, but so much of the usage comes through Jones and Pember that it's hard to get to even the value guys. I think a contrarian Pember could make some sense, especially against a UCLA team who's a little banged up, which we'll get to now. This is the Kansas corollary. How injured is UCLA? How much do they try to rest their players? Jalen Clark's out for the year, so that's an issue. And he's the best defender on the team. Adam Bona did not play in the last game, injured his shoulder in the second most recent contest. He's going to play, just precautionary for him. He'll be bigger later on, but in a game where they're still projected to blow out Asheville, do you see 15 minutes and then Bona depart, just like kind of grease the wheels a little bit and then get him off the court, let him rest more? That's in play. Jaime Jaquez, Tiger Campbell are both really expensive for a good reason. Awesome players, highly involved across the board. More double-double equity for Jaquez, but you're still running the Kansas and Bama risk as a 17.5-point favorite. Dave Singleton, 34, 35, and 35 minutes. More of a win sprinter, but cheap value option. I've been playing him a lot recently with limited success. Amari Bailey, really involved. He's taken the Jalen Clark role in stride. 19% shot rate, 17% rebound rate, nearly 17% assist rate last 3 games for Amari Bailey. In more competitive matchups, I'd have a lot of interest, but not a ton here. Last game, blowout extraordinaire. Bama, Corpus Christi, biggest spread on the board. Corpus Christi lost their best player in Terrion Murdix. If anything, that condensed their minutes. So I don't actually hate Isaac Mushila, Trevion Tennyson, Ross Williams, Jalen Jackson, Simeon Fryer. I think you could do worse than these guys, especially Jalen Jackson. 15% rates across the board or better, 20% shot rate, 26, nearly 27% assist rate. Solid. Tennyson, a little shot dependent, but really cheap here too, plays every minute. Even Simeon Fryer off the bench, played a ton in their most recent game, 34 minutes. Actually, he started, It was Owen Deese that was on the bench. So Fryer at 3,400 starter, played 34 minutes in the first game without Murdix. You could do a lot worse than him as just a punt play that lets you jam in studs. Bama, it's the same thing as Kansas. Like, you need Texas A&M Corpus Christi to keep this game within like 12 points for Brandon Miller to hit ceiling. Brandon Miller probably plays 22 minutes or something in this game. So 10.2, can't play him. Just to go in order of players I would play, it still would be Miller 1, Quinterly 2, Clowney 3, Sears 4, Bediako 5. From there, I don't care. Griffin, Gurley, Bradley, Burnett, doesn't matter. There's just not that much to say about Bama. But that'll do it for us. You're looking at the data usage tool. Again, this is available at Stochastic. You can get this tool for the entire tournament, every single game, every single slate, in addition to projections, in addition to slate write-ups, Discord. It's all available for $40. There's more games than that this weekend. There's arguably that, I don't know how many slates there are in the tournament. This also includes the NIT, I forgot to mention. We're doing NIT slates, CBI slates when we get those. There's so many slates that you can use these tools for. It's a no-brainer offer. Again, $39.95 for the whole tournament. Let me know in the comment section what you think of this video, what you think of the plays, any others that I maybe missed. Would love to hear your feedback. If you'd like to reach out on Twitter, I'm at Matt_Gajewski. Otherwise, we'll be back again live before lock on Thursday. Live before lock on Thursday. On Friday, we'll have content on Saturday and Sunday and through the rest of the tournament. Thank you guys for watching, and good luck.